what if I told you that all the skills I use today were acquired back in April 2024 with no prior experience and built from scratch? And every single month since April 2024 into December 2024, I have been making consistent profits of a 4-digit nature. Would you believe that? Okay, so in this video, I want to show you how I've done that, and I want to show you one trade and break it down for you to explain to you how I've done this on a week-on-week basis and even on a monthly basis to make these consistent profits. Okay, now the profits I've made aren't in the millions, they're not in the hundreds of thousands, they're in the modest thousands. And this is a realistic target for any trader, and actually this is a target that is exceeding most traders in any trading circumstances. Okay, and I want to keep it as real as I can for you guys to understand my journey so far in trading. So let me show you a screenshot of one of the trades I took, and I'm going to break it down for you. Okay, this was the euro versus the Great British Pound, and you can see here this is my MT5 trader, and this was £357 in profit, 0.32% up in profits. And I'm going to show you a little bit more, and I will show you at the end of the video how my trade played out. Now we're on the charts, and I want to show you why I took the Euro GBP trade. So let's start off with the Euros FX futures. This is on the daily time frame, and I'm utilizing an indicator called the Stealth Valuation Index indicator. So if you click indicators up here, you can see here the X Limitless Stealth Valuation Index tool. Now this is invite only at the moment. If you would like to utilize this indicator, go in the description. You can sign up for the waiting list on X Limitless. I suggest you do. Fantastic tools, and this is what I utilize. Okay, so I utilize this on the daily time frame. And what is the valuation tool and why do I use it? So before I go into anything, let me explain what it is. So look, valuation tool is like weighing two sides of a seesaw. Okay, the strength of one currency and how it directly impacts the other, constantly shifting the balance. Okay, and this is what you can see represented here on this indicator. So let me explain how I utilize this indicator. So you double click into the indicator here, you go to the inputs, and you can see comparison symbol. So we have the futures FX charts open, and I want to compare this against the GBP. Now on futures we call that the 6B1, which is the British Pound futures, and if I was to delete this from here, you can see going over to futures, I can compare the euro against any futures chart I want to using the valuation tool. But in this instance, I will be comparing the euro against the British Pound. Okay, so I click here, press OK. Now this is the Euros FX chart, as I said, and this is now being compared against the 6B1, which is the British Pound futures chart. Okay, and this shows the valuation of the euro against the Great British Pound. So let me explain why I was utilizing this tool. So as you can see here, this is what we like to call a position of being overvalued, okay, against the Great British Pound. So the reason why this is overvalued, because this is being compared to the pound, and this is the position of the euro being undervalued against the Great British Pound here. Okay, so these extremes represent overvalued and undervalued. Okay, really important to remember. So the euro here is in an upward trend, as you can see, and it was in an upward trend for around 10 days, and you can see I took the trade practically from August the 8th, 2024, and I closed down the trade around the 27th of August 2024. Okay, so this is why I've marked this specific area out. So you can see the euro was in a bullish uptrend, and you can see here, looking at this valuation tool against the pound, the euro was in a position of being overvalued against the pound, and you can see this divergence starting to occur on the charts where we become undervalued against the pound, even though we are in a bullish uptrend. Okay, really simple and really easy to understand, and it doesn't need to get more complicated than that on this confluence. Okay, really important to remember. So this divergence between the euro and the pound is something that I was paying very close attention to. Okay, so you can see here, and you can see here, if you want to use a trend line, this divergence between the pound, between the euro and the pound. Okay, so really simple to see here and how it's represented on the chart. So let me take you over to the next chart, which is going to be the GBP trade, the GBP chart, excuse me, and you can see here the same thing again, the valuation tool, and you can see the same dates marked out. Okay, so same thing again. If I go into the valuation tool on the daily time frame, go to the inputs here, go to the comparison symbol, and I click this little pencil, you can see I'm comparing the British pound against the euro FX futures in this instance. Okay, really easy to follow. Again, if I remove that, I can compare it against any futures chart I want to, but in this instance I want to compare the pound against the euro because that's what I'm interested in. So press OK, and you can see this is now highlighted. Okay, same thing again here. I've marked out the same dates, August 8th to the August 27th, 2024. And what you can see here, we are in this bullish uptrend on the pound. And what you can see here again is that trend on the valuation tool is that the pound has followed that trend. So the pound valued against the euro is in this upward trend and there is no divergence. Really, really key. So why is that important? Well, as you can see here, the pound was significantly undervalued against the euro. And by the time I exited the trade, the pound was overvalued against the euro and we saw this decline here again. Okay, really, really important. And the pound follows the valuation tool against the euro very, very, very closely. So I paid particular interest to this, okay, and this is one of my major confluences and why I wanted to take the euro GBP trade. Now the question will be, is both pairs were in a bullish uptrend, so why would I trade them against each other? And this is based upon the valuation tool, and this is how smart money is identified in one instance, okay? So really, really important to remember, okay? So now I've showed you the valuation tool. Let me show you how I actually took this trade, okay? Now I took this trade on the actual FX pair itself, which is the Euro GBP pair, okay? And this is the actual pair I traded from. Now I do like to use futures, but this is how I actually traded this pair in this instance, okay? So before I break this trade down for you, let me show you a few screenshots of how I actually took the trade. So all of my trades, I always take screenshots of everything I do because I always like to go back and double check my work. And as you can see here, this screenshot is from August the 15th, and this is the analysis I had done before I entered the trade. And this is really, really important. I never enter a trade randomly. I never enter a trade without all the fundamentals aligning, without all of my knowledge and technical analysis lining up as well, and I never enter any trade randomly at any time. Okay, really important to remember. So I always do the pre-work, and actually I always look at my trades around 2 to 3 weeks before I entered that trade, maybe sometimes even further out than that. So really important to remember, and this is how the trade looked before I entered. Okay, this is the volume profile, and I will explain a little bit more about that in a second. And this is how the trade looked, and this is how the trade ended up playing out. So this is now on the 4-hour time frame just to keep it cleaner, but you can see this was almost a 1% move to the downside. You know, what a fantastic trade. So, you know, no drawdown, practically melted from the moment I entered the trade to the downside. So fantastic trade. Okay, so let me break this trade down for you and explain how I actually took this trade. So what you can see here, this is where I had realized the trade was on. Again, I spoke about the valuation tool and that being the major confluence in this trade, and this is where I actually took my entries around August 15th. Okay, so before I explain more about that, I always utilize this indicator, which is the Sunday open. And just to be clear, what is the Sunday open and why do I use it? This is really, really important. Okay, so the Sunday open is practically like a weather forecast for the week ahead. So whilst it's not always definitive, okay, Sunday opening prices often offer hints about the potential market conditions, okay, whether it's bullish or bearish, for example. And much like a weather forecast, it suggests or gives you guides to the expectations of the market. Really, really important, okay. So in this instance, I'm going to show you why I use the Sunday open. So this is the previous week, because this is when the Asia market opens in the UK, which is 10 p.m. for me in the UK on a Sunday, which was back at the 5th of August, okay? And this is what we call the PWSO, which is the previous week Sunday open. And again, this is always important to mark out on your charts. And this is the current opening price of the week when I took my trade, okay? So this is what I call the Sunday open. Now, the reason why this was the Sunday open, because this is the week where I entered my trade, okay? And this was the previous 7 days before I entered the trade. I hope that makes sense, okay? So then I utilize something called the fixed range volume profile, and this gives you all the volume traded within that period. So if you come here and you go to the fixed range volume profile, and I use LTA concepts, this is the strategy I use. And if you want to learn more about it, again, go in the description, or I can put you in the right direction to learn this. And again, this is the PWPOC, which stands for the previous week point of control. Okay, and this practically an acronym, and this means where most of the volume was traded within the last 7 days, and we call this the previous week point of control. Okay, I hope that makes sense. So once I've got these key levels marked out, okay, this is where I was looking to enter my trade. So once I saw this initial push to the upside here, and then we sold off, what I'm waiting for here is what's going to happen from the current opening price of the week. You can see we sold off, and I was looking for this retest of this Sunday open, okay? And what I was initially looking for was it to come back down, retest the Sunday open, and then break to the downside, okay? Because the valuation tool had already showed that we were in these extremes, okay? As I showed you at the beginning of this video. So that didn't happen, and what happened, we consolidated just above the Sunday opening price of the week, which was really good as well, because I was just waiting for it to come down. And when I saw we broke structure here, this is when I entered my trade, okay? And if I zoom in a little bit more, what you can see here is where I entered my trade, and it was around the 85,700. So I entered on a short position just above here, just beneath here. I kept my stops above the highs. Now this is a big drawdown, yes, but this is what I was comfortable to do, because this is more of a swing trade, and I was aiming for a 1% move to the downside, okay? And this is what I actually got. So this was the trade, and this is how it looked. And again, what a fantastic trade. And just to show you the actual trade itself, going back to my screenshots, you can see this is the profit that I managed to take from this trade, which was around £775 in one trade. So a fantastic trade. And again, this is enough money for 2 weeks. Again, being a new trader, this is a significant amount of money. So a fantastic trade, really happy with that. And to take it a step further, if you go to the 4-hour time frame, and I just want to show you something else. Even if I wanted to hold this trade even longer, so let's just say I had this trade open to today, okay? By understanding your ranges, by understanding your tools and how you trade, this trade is actually ended up being a 4% trade to the downside, okay? And this is something that if I knew what I know now, okay, smart money, large speculators, I would have held this trade, and I still would have been in this trade until now. I'd have probably closed very soon, but this would have been a 4% move to the downside, okay? And we've never even come back to test these levels since. So what a fantastic trade. So if I clear all of this from the actual charts, remove this indicator, and let's say that you are someone who likes to trade ranges, and you go to the daily time frame, because you can see even to this day, okay? So if we go back to August 15th, yeah, from this high here, and we use the trend line, you can see we are still in a bearish downtrend, okay? And we've tested this out recently, but we weren't able to break it, and we are actually still in this trend. So I caught the trend from the top of this range. Now, yes, I took it out at 1%, but I'm happy with that profit. But what a fantastic trade, okay? And I hope that helps you. So next week, I will be going more into detail about the same topics, and specifically more around smart money.